Okay. Okay, thanks for joining me this morning for our webinar focused on providing a digital solution into the fire protection industry. The agenda for today will be going through a look into the industry, how our solution can support your industry and your projects, and then we'll dive into the Archdesk solution to give you a live view of how our system can aid you in your work. So let's just dive into presentation. So on a global scale, the fire protection market is going through a bit of a growth spurt, partly down to various factors, including from a local point of view, the incident at Grenfell, and fire protection systems are being adopted not only from a commercial point of view, but also industrial. And that's where the biggest growth is being expected and lived. Also with residential properties, particularly large properties, large blocks of flats, etc., are also starting to upgrade and install fire protection systems. So as an industry, it's growing quickly. The demand for this work to upgrade older buildings that are being refurbished, there's an expectation to get these systems in for upgrading health and safety. In regards to understanding your process, now we're working with quite a lot of companies now in the fire protection area, and we are gaining a fast understanding of your process, particularly around the installation process of your systems and equipment. So, you know, through the design review process, purchasing of materials, planning the work to actually go into site and install it, with your testing and inspections after the event. We realise there's several times in which your guys will have to go backwards and forwards from site, and we've developed a solution to help manage that process, make sure you're compliant to that process, make sure everything's getting done and ticked off on your lists, as I said, to remain compliant to not just your company process, but industry requirements and standards too. There's some aspects of our system that will instantly benefit companies like you sort of out of the box, particularly around mapping your unique processes, scheduling of that work, and particularly managing the relationship between your engineers and the office. Now, there's some big benefits, particularly around reducing the delays of your project, making sure all tasks are complete and there's no errors, and reducing the number of times you may have to go back to site to complete works. Obviously, this is one of the big drivers of why projects particularly will go over time and over budget, which is something we're definitely looking to eliminate. So whether it's managing your project processes, giving you and your business leaders real-time, high-level visibility reporting with our dashboard suite, maintaining and managing that communication between your site engineers and the office, and tracking all costs across the project, and giving you visibility of them and the change to those costs. Archdesk, what makes us a little bit unique as a business is how we have developed and deliver our software particularly. So we've broken up our platform into lots of little mini solutions. And from these solutions, we work with our customers very closely to identify which building block functionality you as a business are going to need to be successful. Now, we realize one size doesn't fit all as a solution for businesses. Therefore, we work very closely with our customers to fully understand and and map out your full requirements to understand which building blocks is going to make you drive forward as a business for your reasons. You might be looking to upgrade from a very manual process. You may be looking to grow as a business. Growth could be taking on more work and expanding your employee team. And it could also mean that you're just looking to work on more prestigious projects. Whatever it is, let's identify what you're going to require from us and what you're not going to need. Let's take out the parts that aren't relevant and focus on delivering these the best we can. We will then endeavour to build you a solution for your business, which is fully online, cross-browser, cross-platform, and we've got the ability to provide apps from the App Store and Play Store in iOS and Android devices. So implementation. This is a big part of the experience of working with our business. Our consultants will go through a discovery process with everybody we work with, large and small, to truly identify your process, project protocol, and really understand what you're trying to achieve. We will then configure the platform to suit some of your processes and the way you want the system to perhaps operate you in ways. And we will fully deliver the system with training. And going forward, our guys will fully support you from a user perspective and an account perspective to make sure that you continue to get the most out of our platform. And as the tailors ultimately of your system, we're the best placed people to make any adjustments or changes to how the system's operating for you. So we've taken information management and process management, which are two major parts of many systems, but also when you bring in real-time cost, that's where we believe we've created that one single source of truth, one platform to manage your end-to-end process, very much tailored to your needs. So without delay, I'd like to get into the system now and just show you a few aspects and a few features that we can offer you as a business to help manage this process end to end. So I'm actually logging into the system through Google Chrome, but as I mentioned, you can log in via a multitude of browsers as well. The screen that has taken me straight into here is our dashboard reporting area. Now, these dashboards we offer for smaller businesses, a predefined number of dashboards, but for standard users of the system on a slightly upgraded version, we can create any dashboards you identify that you're going to require. Now, this financial dashboard is pulling together not just project information, but information from all your projects and wrapping it up here in a detailed overview of how your company's operating. So we're not just a project-centric system, we also tie together that information company-wide and give you some metrics around, let's say, how the sales are working year to date or monthly, purchase invoices, etc., etc. We can also create dashboards to keep a view of your estimating stage and any quotes that you've currently are processing or have live that are pending approval from the client or any of your suppliers, for example. We can also keep track of your live jobs. So in this case, in this demo environment, you can see there's 4 live on-site jobs at present, and we can see the progress and where these jobs are currently staged. So it really is all about giving you all that information at your fingertips to ultimately be successful within your role. Whether you're a business leader that needs a high-level view of how things are operating and where things are going right and wrong, to Whether you're a project manager or working in the purchasing department, you can use this dashboard as almost a work in progress page to identify what you need to complete within your role or your team needs to complete. So dashboard reporting. If I now want to go into an individual project, I would just click at the top here on projects, and this will give me a list of all the projects I have access to within my role. Some of these projects will be live, some will be archived, closed projects. I've got search capabilities to find the project I need here at the top. So if I just type in a couple of the letters, it'll bring down the list of all the projects. And I'm just going to go into the top one there, which is the Satterfield Corner House project. And the first page it lands on is the details of this project. You'll notice down the left-hand side, some functionalities popped out on the left-hand side of the screen. And this really is all the project-centric information and functionality that relates to this project. So if I now just go into the processing side of this project, it's quite an important part of the system because our implementation consultants will work closely with you as a client to fully identify how your projects flow. So we have some inbuilt predefined process for our small business edition customers, but for our standard users, this process will be very much mapped working closely with our clients. And it's important because this is ultimately how your process of projects flow end to end. So from inquiry coming in from your client, let's say, all the way through the final checks and sign off of the project, this essentially is one long pipeline end to end of the flow of all steps through the entire project. Now, some of these steps going forward can be left fairly open. If they're non-project critical steps, we can leave tasks open on some of these as well. So if I just now change this one to highlight that the job isn't complete, you can see it's now highlighted in yellow. However, if some of these steps are more project critical, you may want to put a more stringent approval flow at the end of that step or between, build a bit of a stronger gate that an approver has to approve the work done at this step before the project can move forward. Now that's quite important to gain that control and ensure that certain stages of the project are completed correctly and that all tasks are filled in, or forms are collated, or data is captured on site at that point. We'll just click on the final inspection stage here. I can now see the detail around that step. So I can see Jay Morgan's responsible for this particular step, which is the final inspection. I can see it's 85% complete. I can see a list of tasks that must be completed by Jay and his team at this stage, and some information that's been attached to support Jay in this work. Now, everybody who's responsible for different parts of this process will be informed at the time in which they become responsible for it. So whether you're part of the installation team or whether you need to get contracts signed off by customers, you will be given information to support you at that stage and make sure that you do everything you need to do before the project can move forward. So that's processing. It's a big part to map correctly for our implementation consultants, because this really is the heart of how your projects flow, and you can gain massive control over that process going forward. Now, jumping into the quotation area of the system, this is where all our quotations for this project live, and we give you the ability to import your quotations in Excel if that's how you put them together, and it will then pre-populate and build the quotation automatically in our system on that import. And likewise, you can create your quote from scratch in our platform too. Now there's a couple of quotes in here. I'm just going to click on the top one to see the detail of it, and at the very top there I can see that this particular quotation has a process to go through. Now, from draft to project manager approval, then eventually it goes out to the client for their approval and sign off, and then it can be account approved and worked to. So I can see the quoted price to the quoted cost and any outstanding financials are waiting to come in. So this quote has been broken up into 4 sections. If I just click on the ground floor section, I can now see some of the detail of this quote around the items and the materials, be it labour categories or material items or other. We can map all different costs against different cost categories that you define in the system. So, for example, you as a business might work to several different types of labour category, which we can certainly cater for. In regards to quantities, you can see there's various types of quantity down here, whether it's in meters, meters squared, millilitres, pairs, individual units. The system and the quotation area can be easily configured to sort of cope with any sort of volume or type of material in quantity. You'll see the unit cost against the unit offered, and if there's any purchase orders and invoices raised against these particular line items. Now, if I want to share this with the client now, I can send them a hyperlink embedded within an email or otherwise, and when they receive it their end, they would just click on that hyperlink and online a window will pop up with the quote on. So you can see the quote details here. The quote can obviously carry you as a business, your corporate logo. Here's the details of the quote and the different sections. Under the sections, you can also see the detailed cost, whether there was any payment terms that need to be recorded, and an accept and decline button. So you can see that this will be accepted against the company's terms and conditions. So we do find this definitely drives clients to make decisions faster, and that's ultimately what we want to happen. We want decisions to be made. We want the information to keep moving forward through the process and ultimately keep the project flowing. Now, if I just jump back in here, from this quotation now, it's very simple for me to raise a purchase order. Let's say the client has approved this particular section of the quote, and now I need to order some materials to be ready on site for the guys. So if I just go into financials and create a purchase order, you'll see how quick and easy this is to do. I'm going to select, let's say, the top 4 parts that I know I need on site day 1 and select. That will auto-populate this now into a purchase order for me. All I will need to do is go in and edit this and select the supplier I'm going to use from the list. So if I just click on supplier and search, it brings me up members of my supply chain that I can now select. So if I just select the bottom one there, I can also select which branch of this particular supplier I use. Let's say you've got offices either side of town. I can select which branch I'm going to be ordering these goods from. And once I've selected them, it auto-populates all that supplier's details into this purchase order. I could even put in a delivery date if I wanted to. Let's say, oh no, that's back in time. Let's jump forward to, let's say, the 5th of August and save. And that's created the purchase order. And it's exactly the same process for once I've received the goods. You can see that this purchase order now goes through a different process from the supplier approval to me receiving the delivery of goods. I'll obviously be receiving a purchase invoice as well at some point from that supplier once they've supplied all the goods. And it's very easy in the system, therefore, to raise an additional purchase invoice to go out and ultimately pay the supplier for the goods. We can also manage valuations, and all the PO invoices are all linked together in one place. So if I just jump back to the quotation area, 1 second. You can see here under this purchase order how they're all linked together. So this PO is linked to this particular quotation. I can see any invoices it relates to and what project it is related to as well. So that's how we really start to tie everything together in this system. And we bring all that together in our project financial dashboard. Now, whether you are managing your labor and your guys on site, if their time changes, if they're recording expenses, if they have to spend longer on site than anticipated, if there's machinery that needed to be hired, if there's invoices being raised, purchase orders being produced, the system brings all of that together and tracks it all and in real time presents you this dashboard, giving you a view of the health of this particular project. So the project value against budget, current project cost, giving you an anticipated gross profit margin, and received to an outstanding financials. I've also got a breakdown of all the costs against the predefined cost categories. So if I just bring that list down, I can easily drill in here to the other category because I can see that it's actually gone over budget, which is why that's highlighted in red. So if I just quickly get a breakdown of that cost, I can easily see where this cost or overspend has occurred. And there could be a valid reason for it. Perhaps we had to go to a different supplier that we don't have set agreed prices with. Perhaps it was a human error. Whatever the reason is, we allow you to drill down into that issue and resolve it. Perhaps the budget now needs to be raised, or we can just leave it there as an overspend that is logged. We can all see all the purchase orders, purchase invoices, and ultimately who's making all these costs. So that's the financial dashboard. It really does create a whole picture of how your projects are performing. So if I just dive into our forms area now, what we're able to do for companies we work with, whether we create you a predefined selection of these forms, or for more advanced users, we can actually create sort of any number of forms that you're going to require for any purpose. So we're basically able to take any paper form and fully digitize it. So in this case, this is a fire safety certificate. So we're able to completely replicate your paper forms in a digital version that the guys, particularly on site, will be filling in instead. So the benefit of this is obviously we can make the form look the same, so it's familiar to the guys that have been filling this in for many years. You can select different dates. We've got drop downs with different values in. Some of these fields will require numerical or character inputs, and we also can cater for putting your signature in at the end as well. Once these have been submitted from either a mobile device or tablet, it will come directly back into the project, and you can then start to collate that information and even put it through an approval flow if need be. Now, the wide use of these forms could be across your entire business. So let's think about all the forms that your HR department gets members of your employees to fill in, such as holiday forms, sickness, return to work forms, etc. On-site, particularly the health and safety forms, induction forms, and these days any COVID forms that might need filling in. The system can very much cater for all them. So no longer does it take weeks for some of your engineers to get these forms back to the office, or do they live in a van floor with a footprint on? You get these back in real time as soon as they're submitted. So it's all about speeding up the flow of information, and you can measure who's filled in what form and chase those that haven't completed it. These forms can also be attached to the tasks to drive people to make sure they collate the data you want them to on site. So forms is a pretty powerful part of the system, and with a bit of imagination can be used across your wider business. Moving more into the project management part of the system now and into the program of works, very much like how we allow you the importation of your quotation and estimation information, we do very much the same with program management. So if you are managing any of your projects, let's say in Microsoft Project, we can certainly allow you the importation of that file in here that will then re-image that data into our Gantt chart view. And likewise, you can export this information out into a Excel file or a Microsoft Project file as well. So Gantt chart view, very much similar functionality to Microsoft Project. I can see the flow of tasks running through here. And if I just click on the top one there, demolition, I can now see the detail around this particular task. I can see Vivian Mayo has been assigned to complete this task. I can see what the status is currently, some of the dates and times around it, and if there's been any budget assigned. Very easy for me to go in and edit this. And if I was to, let's say, add on an additional couple of days, that may calculate against Vivian Mayo's hourly or daily rate, and then that's where it will auto update the financial dashboard against an increase in labour cost. And that's how the system's very powerful in anything you're changing, any change that needs to happen, particularly tracking all the cost around it and presenting it to you in real time. So not only do we allow you to manage your programs in the Gantt chart view, but we can also re-image it in a table format that we call the schedule. I actually prefer this view. Maybe that's how my brain's wired up. But in this table format, you can see the start and end date, a completion percentage around how far this particular task have been completed, the discipline that it belongs to, and the cost category. Has there been any budget assigned, etc., etc. Now I can quickly drill down again into the detail of these tasks, and I can see again the teams that have been assigned. Have there been any machinery or assets assigned? Maybe a van is required for hire for this particular job. Also, have there been any of our digital forms attached to this particular task for these teams to ensure they complete before they leave site, and any information that might be attached in to support their work. So it maps it out very nicely all the way through to the sort of finishes and end of the project. But we also have the ability to manage teams through our company schedule tool now. So jumping from project-centric information and capability, I'm just clicking on the schedule here, which is a company-wide tool. Now, you can see all employees, which could be subcontractors, it could be anybody that's linked to this project or your business as a whole. And we've got filters to break up this list by department they might belong to, discipline, or company. If I just jump back, there should be some information in here. And I can then start to see where people are assigned, working on. If I just click in here, I can see the detail of this particular task. And then it will allow me to start assigning work to individuals. So if I just jump forward to sort of this month, or maybe even in July, it's very easy for me to click in here and select either a meeting, time off holiday, project task for Alistair Spencer. Let's just select this project task. I can select the project that this is going to be part of. So the Saxfield Corner House project, select the program of works it belongs to, and let's say they need to go in and dismantle the scaffolding. I'm going to give them a day to get this done. Are there any assets that need to be added, vans, etc.? Let's assign a £1,000 budget, select the discipline it belongs to. And more importantly, I can also notify Alistair of this new task, project task for him by SMS if we put his mobile number in the system. Therefore, once I've added that task, Alistair Spencer will receive a text message informing him of this new task. They can go into the mobile device and gather the detail, the list of tasks they must do, any forms they need to complete, and any additional information they need to complete the task on site. And from there, we can drill down into Alistair as an individual as well. And we've got lots of HR capabilities to store information against individuals and manage their timesheets as well. And store information against them from a financial point of view. So look, I think there's a whole load of other functionality that we don't have time to go into today, but certainly to support HR departments, sales divisions in managing the inquiries coming in to the business. We've even got a stock control area that perhaps if you're either a manufacturer of fire protection equipment and systems, or you are just bringing back stock from site that you can use on future jobs, we've got stock control capabilities there that can also make up a materials catalogue, if I just show you that. So this can now help you with some of your purchase orders. You can attach the right items in that will also link to the preferred suppliers as well. So there's a whole load of functionality we can potentially offer you as a business. And I think as we're starting to work with more and more fire protection companies across the land at present, I think where we are a strong system for them and why we're getting chosen and why this seems a really good fit is because we're able to really tailor our system to meet your individual processes. Also, we're able to tweak the system to provide you a view of what you want to see, particularly around the dashboard reporting part of the system. And we are strong at maintaining that sort of end-to-end throughout the whole project, and also the relationship between the office and the guys on site. That's a key relationship for any of you guys, because your engineers will be going to site, the same site multiple times for inspections, installations and planning. So it's all about tracking their time on site as well, giving you a real picture of how not only your projects are operating, but how your company is operating as well. We're happy to discuss your requirements. If you get in touch after this webinar, we can go through in a little bit more detail over how you're currently working and what we could potentially do for you. And we've got some lovely reference customers that would be happy to talk to you in your industry, so you can hear from them how their experience has been working with us. So to summarize up, this is a bit of a quick walkthrough from the system. Hopefully you've seen enough today to get a grasp of what is potentially achievable working with Archdesk. And if you've got any questions, I'm happy to stick around for the next 5-10 minutes and answer any questions that you may have. So over to you all if you want to put any of your questions in the chat. Okay. If we haven't got any questions today, I'd like to thank you all for attending. Please look us up on our website or any of the correspondence you've been given leading up to this webinar today. If you're interested, please get in touch and we'll happily have a discussion with you about what your requirements might be and answer any of your questions one-to-one. Thank you very much for your time today. I hope it's been informative, this session, and hopefully look forward to speaking with you all again in the future. Thanks very much.